All right, guys, today is Thursday, March 18th, 2021. Today marks 41 days I have left to get my 55 Bel Air two-door hardtop ready for Daryl Starwood's car show in Tulsa. Lots of painting to do. I did not get my painting done a couple of days ago because I just had too much other prep work to do. A lot of the parts I didn't have quite ready. One part I wasn't really happy with, so I went ahead and just finished it out. Did a little bit more work than I needed to, but it took the rest of the day just to finish it. Anyway, it's raining right now. It's like 48 degrees or something. Now, tomorrow, actually Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're supposed to have zero rain, 60 and 70 degree temps. So I've got all weekend and tomorrow to paint. Now, I am ready to paint tomorrow. I'm actually getting ready to run to Tulsa to the paint store, and I'm going to pick up a few things that I need. Anyway, I've got some stuff laid out here, so I thought I'd run you through that. Just some little bitty customizing things that I've done, little details that I think is kind of cool. It's just me. But anyway, I'll get you started here. So I've got two things laid out here. I've got my original deluxe heater assembly. This is where the heater core goes, is inside here. But I've also got a reproduction of the original optional Kleenex dispenser. And anyway, this mounts under the dash and it pivots out and you'll pull a Kleenex out of it. I guess it worked good back in the 50s and 60s when you took your date to a drive-in movie and it was sad, you know, your date would have a Kleenex to blow her nose on or whatever, I guess. But I'm trying to be funny. It's pretty stupid, I know. Anyway, this thing mounts under the dash like so. And anyway, now originally these things are kind of mounted at an angle, so I made it into a cup holder, so that wouldn't have been good to leave it in an angle because, you know, you'd probably spill your drink. So I built a bracket underneath the dash for it to bolt to so it'll be more straight. But anyway, this is hard to do one-handed. This will pivot out and give me two cup holders. Now I've plated in the back and I've plated in the top for where the slot was for the Kleenex, and then I hole sawed it for these two shallow plastic cup holders that I just got off eBay. But anyway, that chrome face is actually riveted on and I drilled the rivets out of it. And I'm going to reattach it with stainless button head Allens here because to me they look like a rivet. But anyway, I've polished them all on the buffing wheel, but these are 632, I believe, and I've got little nylon lock nuts that'll go on the back of it. But anyway, that's how that will go back together. And then the heater box assembly here, there's lots of little details done here that I think will kind of make it stand out. I've stated it before, I'm not going to have air conditioning on the car. It's just one of them deals where I'm going to just wear shorts and probably a tank top and be good with it. But anyway, the air conditioning on these cars, you know, not only is the kit expensive, it has hoses coming through the firewall, and to me it just kind of clutters it up. And don't get me wrong, air conditioning's nice, but I wanted to keep the car simple, just absolutely simple. So I've just got the alternator on it. So when I did the AC compressor, you know, I'd have to change my alternator bracket to that side. And anyway, it's just, I'm not too interested in doing AC right now. I'm sure when I get, you know, in a little bit further, I'll probably regret it. But anyway, let me get to this. So the heater box itself, it has a little piece of wire that comes out and it's bent upward. It's like a Z kind of. Anyway, your cable for your slide control and your dash hooks on there. The problem was when I put my radio in the glove box, it goes back in there so far, it was just about touching it or close to it. So I ended up taking a piece of strap and cutting it and putting a pin in there, and I dropped it down basically. So I had to drill the spot weld out of this bracket, and I moved it down as well. So now my cable's a little bit lower to operate the door. So that's pretty cool there. But anyway, so I had to do a lot of work in this area. Now these things are pretty rough from the factory with wrinkles and stuff, the way they're stamped out. And this is highly visible. It's, I'd say 3/4 of this you see under the dash of that car. So I wanted this really, really nice. Now I'm going to be painting it. Originally they're a hammer tone color, like a hammer tone gray color. I'm going to paint it to my Galaxy Gray Pearl base coat clear coat because that's kind of my accent color on a lot of the stuff. But anyway, I panel bonded on a quarter panel crest, which would normally they go here on the quarter panels. I've panel bonded it on, and I did put the clips on the back as well, but I basically filled the whole back of that inside of it with panel bond and then pushed it on there, and it kind of smushed it out, and then I just took my finger and went around it. But that stuff is super strong. You know, they bond cars together with that, car body panels together with that. So this won't come off there. But anyway, when I was doing all my body work and my primer work, I didn't want to, you know, get primer in all these little slots of this because I'd lose the detail of that crest, so I taped it off. So I'll go back in and I'll edge this out just a little bit with some sandpaper right here. And I've got some aerosol etch primer, and I'll just put kind of like a medium one single coat on the face of this. I'm just going to let it overspray out here. It ain't going to hurt nothing. And then I'll go back and sand everything. But anyway, this bracket here, I had to drop it down. So what I did was I rounded out the bracket because it's squared off from the factory. And then I changed the hardware out to ARP 1032s. Now, if this bolt was really, really short and I just put one bolt in here, this could pivot. So what I did was I drilled a hole in the box back behind this, and this is a longer bolt because it doesn't interfere with anything in there. So anyway, when you put that bolt in to clip on the cable that runs through here, it goes into this, so it keeps it from doing this number. You know, this bracket's not big enough to put two things of hardware on. And I like the idea of having this removable because I can paint this separately, you know, behind it and everything. It's going to be hard enough to paint with this on there because I'm going to have to do some paint work and then try to turn that, get paint up under there. It's going to be a mess, but hopefully I can get it done without making a huge mess. But anyway, that's going to be really cool. And then here's another piece. I think I showed this in a video the other day. This is part of it. I ended up filling some spot weld indents up here, and then I put filler all the way around the edge, and I smoothed that flange out. This is really, really wrinkly from the factory stamping all the way around. So anyway, I smoothed that out. What else? So I took all the door and everything out of this. It has this flapper door in there, and surprisingly the rubber on this thing is super soft. It's still pliable. This is not new. So I just cleaned everything up and repainted this insert right here. I taped off the rubber and then just repainted the face of it there. But all the attaching hardware and the spring and, you know, all the rod and all that stuff, I went back in and repainted everything. And I changed the hardware for everything just about, because to me hardware is one of the biggest details on a car. The hardware kind of, it stands out, you know. And anyway, so the heater box assembly is put together with a ton of Phillips screws. These are number 8 Phillips, and I bought a big pack of oval head Phillips stainless screws, and I polished every single one of those on the buffing wheel, every one of those. So all of the screws in the heater box, even the ones that's on the back that you don't even see, are polished. Anyway, to put these cable clamp brackets on, you know, there's a lot of them on the car that look like that. I've got little, on that one in particular, it goes to the door. I've got a little stainless button head Allen here that I polished with a little lock washer. It goes with all this stuff, but anyways, just little detail stuff, man, and that stuff to me is what I like. I love detailing little parts, and for me, that's the thing. When you don't have a lot of money, you can make it look like $1 million by just changing a few little subtle details and changing that hardware out. But anyway, I got a long way to go, man. I've got 41 days left, and this paint is my biggest holdup. Now, more than likely, I will get my matte black stuff painted tomorrow. That's the plan. Today, I'm going to the paint store here in just a minute. I'm going to have to drive up there. The main thing I need up there, I'm going to get quite a few little items, but I need some vinyl tape because I got to tape off the coast for my stainless trim that goes on the car. So I want to try to get all the painting stuff done this weekend, all of it. Probably won't, but that's the plan. But anyway, I'm happy. The car's coming together pretty good. You know, it runs. You know, whether it goes in gear and has all gears, we'll see. But anyway, the show's coming up quick, but I'm not worried. I think I have plenty of time. I'll get this thing knocked out. It's just all this painting stuff to do, you know. The cool part about the car for me is I already had it mocked up. I had the whole thing put together, except the windows. I didn't have any of the windows in it. But I've already pre-mocked up all the trim. I've got all the clips marked and labeled, and like everything for this car is in bags labeled. So it's just, for me, it just makes it easy. I walk into the house, I go to my shelving unit in my spare bedroom, and I get that part and dig through a tote that has all the new hardware stuff in there. It's tagged and bagged, and bring it out and assemble it. But if you don't have parts painted, it kind of makes it a little difficult because you can't bolt a part on unless it's painted. And I don't know how many cars are on, or parts are on a 55 Chevy, but there's a bunch. And when you got to paint every single one of them, and the majority of them, I've actually done metalwork or bodywork too to make them slicker than factory. There's a lot of time in the car. I got asked the other day how many hours I got in the car. I have no idea. I got this car in 2013, and I worked on it within the same day that I got it. I started working on it. Now I don't work on it year round, obviously. These past winters, I've usually kind of skipped off of it a little bit, and I have done a few other cars in between to sell to fund this project. But I got a lot of hours in it, you know, and it's still, at the end of the day, a 55 Chevy. And the whole thing for me was keeping it simple. And, you know, back in the day, back in the 50s and 60s, people used to work on their own cars. You can't do that anymore. You know, almost everybody would work on their own cars in their driveway at home. And you can't do that anymore without a laptop computer and, you know, a thing to tell you what's wrong with your car. So that was my big goal, was to keep this car simple. And, you know, basically for me, if I'm driving down the road and the car just shuts off, the first thing I'm going to do is take the air cleaner off, and I'm going to hit the butterflies, see if I'm getting fuel. If I'm not getting fuel, it's probably my $16 fuel pump that mounts on the side of the engine that I can change in about 5 minutes. If I am getting fuel, it's probably ignition. So I can, you know, pop the spark plug wires off, take one nut off down there, pull the whole distributor out, and change the whole distributor out for less than $100. Which normally, when I drive old cars, I keep a small toolbox in the car, and I'll keep a coil and a module, because that's usually the main issues with an HEI if you ever have issues. Because they're small and I can keep them in the toolbox, but I'll carry a spare fuel pump as well. But I do not want to get towed on a rollback wrecker, $200 tow bill for a $20 part, you know what I mean? But because I do drive my cars. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna jump off here. I gotta go run some errands, the paint store, and then get back, and I'm gonna finish up some stuff. I want to get my stainless trim coves all taped off and ready. And I don't know, I got a list of stuff to do, but you get it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.